Coach, we'll get an opening statement from you and then open things up for questions.
Just really happy for our guys. They compete at a really high level. I asked them to do two things today, which was stay connected and just watching the game and listening to the conversation on the bench and watching them leave our huddle and the five guys go out on the court and reconvene to make sure they're on the same page. And then I asked them to compete, as hard as they could for 40 minutes. And sometimes as a coach, you can get caught up in a lot of minutia of the game and how we're going to guard every single action and how we're going to get every single shot. When really, with a team like this in particular, you got to get them to do those two things first and foremost. And they have for the most part. But I felt like on Tuesday, we got away from that. And that was obviously concerning because with young guys, you never know how that affects where they go next and how they finish. And listen, there's a lot of noise around the program, not necessarily positive. And I just want them to try to enjoy playing together and competing and having the opportunity to play in the best college basketball conference in the country. And they were rewarded for that commitment to that 40-minute effort today with a win, and proud of them. And now, kind of looking forward to seeing what happens tomorrow. Because tomorrow we're going to focus on getting back to the basics and practice and getting these guys a little bit better. So.
Hey, Coach, your team lost by 29 and Bryce got injured on Tuesday. What would you say about your team's resilience to come back and beat a good team like this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, these things aren't easy. I think it shows that we have high character people. Resilience is often thrown around when adversity hits. I don't think they've ever not shown resilience, even when they've done well. So I'm proud of their response to a really big piece of our team being gone, particularly some guys who hadn't really contributed a whole lot lately. Jamire Keller specifically. Q hasn't been great. He's kind of taken a little bit of a step back in terms of his role for the last couple of weeks. Even Justin McBride, his 3 minutes in the first half don't seem like big, but we knew this would be a battle for 40 minutes. And we needed everybody who got in the game to give us something positive. And I think if I look down the sheet, even Jarris Hicklin and Connor Dow, who were 0 on shooting, did some positive things. And when they were out of the game, they were really positive in terms of their mindset. So they care about each other. They care about the right things. And because of that, good things are going to happen for them eventually.
Did you feel like today was Keon's best game?
Yeah, I have to go back and look. I hate to throw these things out, but I don't know if I've ever coached a kid who got 10 rebounds in a half. I don't think. I may have. I probably will remember it though. So again, Q didn't have a great practice yesterday, and not in terms of he missed shots or whatever, but we challenged him to step up and be more reliable. And it's not that he fought it, but it was more like he feels like he's doing what he's supposed to do. And he is. But when you lose a 4-year guy who's been through the league more than anybody else, you kind of got to rely on the next guys who've been there. And, just like we talk about the freshmen, like, you're going to be out there, man. So you got to give us more. So I challenged him probably more than I have so far in his career, and he responded. So it's always good when it works out that way. It doesn't always work out that way, though.
So it sounds like you were intent on starting him, regardless of how practice went yesterday. What was it about?
I was going into practice, and then he made me second guess myself a little bit. But to be honest, again, we don't have a ton of options, right? When you talk about what we need to kind of fill the spot, you can go with shooting. We haven't shot it great, so you probably need a little bit more teeth defensively. He's the best guy there, and so he got the chance and he responded, and obviously he set a pretty good tone for us in terms of getting to the glass, and then obviously his cutting and layup making was elite for us.
I think Jamira.
You wanted a lot of guys to step up today. You had 5 to score double figures and good distribution of the ball. What can you say about that?
Yeah, again, we have a hard time when we, especially a lot of times our struggles are kind of just pointed towards us struggling. Like we just want to not play well. Like we're playing really good teams, and I'm not making excuses. Like we need to find a way to continue to play better. But and by no means am I saying we should get blown out anywhere. But these kids will get better, and they just have to learn how to do it consistently. So to come out of a game where we didn't share the ball very well at all, to have 17 assists on the baskets we made, to have several assisted baskets late in the game when we needed them, is a sign that they're still listening, in spite of everything else that's going on outside.
I think Jamiron had played 24 minutes in Big 12 games up to this point and played really good defense, scored however many points he scored tonight. Just what you kind of think of his performance overall?
Yeah, again, another kid who responded. You know, I challenged him a while back, honestly. I told him coming out of Christmas break that there was a chance for him to take a step up or take a step back, and he didn't. They don't know what it means. They don't, and you can't simulate what they're going through. You just can't. There's nothing to help prepare them for playing the 9 games that we played in this conference before you do it. We can talk to them about it. We can show them all the film. We can, but until you get out there and it's really happening, and it happens fast. I mean, it happens way faster than it looks like it's happening from even where I'm sitting, because I played the game. But for him to, in the prior time we needed him the most with Bryce out, to step up and give us some defensive presence, guarding a guy who he had to guard today and still be able to get some offensive production out of him. Again, just we see what's possible with some time with these guys, and we'll see what happens from there.
Just knowing how hard it is to win in this league, how long do you let yourself kind of enjoy this moment and then, having to move on to play another?
Yeah, I don't know. I watched the last 8 minutes of the Kansas-Houston game before I walked in here, and it didn't make me feel good about enjoying this very much. It didn't make me realize, like, Kansas is really, I don't know if you guys are following it all. Kansas is really good. We talk about a historically great defense. They're shooting like 80% in the first half. But Robert Allen asked me that question last week, and I said I wouldn't. I may try to steal a couple hours this week.
Did you have any sense that Jamiron might come through with what he did today, or was that?
You don't. I mean, like I wish I knew. Like really. And especially with young guys, you don't really have a feel for how they respond to any situation. Playing well, playing poorly, being benched, playing a lot. And so no, what you do is you try to make sure they're prepared as well as they can. That's our job. Like that he doesn't see anything out there that he's never seen before, and he doesn't have any answer for it. And if he makes mistakes, it's out of being aggressive and not timid or lack of knowledge. So we felt like we gave him enough things to be prepared with out there. And then the game takes on itself. I mean, he got downhill, made a couple layups. I think that made him feel good. And then from there, I think he gave him confidence on the defensive end to be who we think he can be long term, which is a really difficult guy to deal with as an offensive player yourself.
Javon talked about how they've been playing with a similar energy, similar competitiveness all season, but today they played it, till the final whistle. Do you think that's more of a, they're figuring out they're getting more comfortable out there, or do you think that's just, this today on, February 3rd, they wanted to play a full 40-minute game? Where do you think they kind of?
I wouldn't say the set. I mean, I think they always want to. You guys have been around, like that thing's. I've been there. I was fortunate to win the first time I'd ever been in there, right? And so you get this kind of thought, like it's not as hard as it seems. It's still really hard to win in there. It doesn't happen very often. I mean, I think the stat still remains that he's got more championships than league home losses, I think, in 20 years or so. It's crazy, right? I think he's the best coach in the country. And so they did not want to play as hard as they could for 40 minutes there. Got really loud, and they started making shots really fast, and Bryce gets hurt, and like they're looking around, but there's nowhere to go. Like you gotta figure it out. I do think that part of what helped Jamiron and Justin today was they were out there for at least some time, and it gave them a sense of, okay, I can get out here in the Big 12 game, and neither one of them were great, but Jamiron got a steal, made a layup, right? And so all those things help. They don't help when you're going through learning how to deal with that environment, but it helps them as they just continue to progress as players. So, to your point, Javon still feels very confident that his team is giving great effort. He's still being a great leader, and I think a day like today shows, because K-State's a good team. I mean, they were 4-1 not too long ago, and everybody goes through this in this conference, man. Like, I wouldn't recommend it to most people. I mean, to be honest, like, do something else, somewhere else, some other way. But as a competitor, I love it. I know what comes with it. But I'm really proud of the kids for sticking together and being committed to just the process of getting better, even though sometimes it doesn't always look like there's real improvement tangibly that you can point to, because wins and losses are really the only thing that matters. The final score, to some people, is the only thing that matters, and I get that too. But I am proud of the kids for the way they fought with each other through this stuff.
K-State
Last
guys,
couple of questions, guys, because the women's game is tipping momentarily.
When the K-State guys were in here, Coach Tang mentioned that he felt probably the biggest difference in this game was your guys' ability to go get the 50-50 balls. Is that kind of how you see it too?
Yeah, again, I try not to get into those things because I haven't watched it. I did feel like we played with a great purpose. And again, it's little things that I noticed. I mean, when I break the huddle, there's times where, Brandon Garrison's kind of walking. They're not doing anything bad. It's just thinking about what they're supposed to do individually. And today, consistently, I looked out there, and even if he was trying to walk off, somebody was calling him back to make sure that the group was connected about what they needed to do at that moment. So we need to keep building on that, because that's how you become a connected team, a good team, and a team that has success no matter what the circumstances are, like we did today.
Brandon didn't have the challenge he had the other night, of course. But how'd you feel he held up and played tonight?
Yeah, I think he just continues to get more comfortable and confident that he belongs there. He belongs out there. I think he battled with Hunter the best he could in both games he did there. And that's as good as you can get when you're a freshman. And most guys aren't out there. I mean, there are very few freshmen that are playing, and we got four to five of those guys running out there throughout the game. And it's what we did, but at the same time, I do see growth in each of them at a different rate. With him, he's getting more comfortable shooting a little 15-foot jump shot. I think, again, I don't want to get too far ahead, but I think he's going to become a guy we can count on to shoot a three. I really do. He's got good touch. He feels comfortable with the ball in his hands. He's a good passer. And again, it's just a matter of getting through this 18 games, getting to the conference tournament, playing that out, seeing how the season ends, and then going back and studying it all and using a whole summer to figure out how do I become a more consistent player? How do I make sure that it's 2 or 3 games in a row before I maybe have a step back, not just one, and then a couple of games I'm not great, and you know what I mean? That's part of learning how to be a good player at this level.
They tried to slow you down with that 1-3-1 in the second half. With all the young guys you had out there, were you wondering how they were going to adjust to that?
Not really in that sense, just because they ran it for 2 possessions in Manhattan. We actually had the lead. We lost it during that stretch. We talked about that before. We didn't really try to get the ball inside. We got a couple driving layups, a couple cutting layups, and a couple shots from about 10 feet. So, but the 2 possessions that we played against it in Manhattan, we were 0 for 2. And I thought that they may feel, especially if we had a lead, that they could go back to it. So we prepared for the last couple of days to get it. We weren't great against it still, but we were much better than we were up there.
The last thing.
Daly's minutes were way down tonight.
Yeah.
Today. Is that just the natural freshman roller coaster deal?
Partly, I mean, he just didn't have it today. Since sometimes as a coach, you got to trust your gut there. And, obviously if it's 76, 75, I'm probably questioning about that. And you just got to be comfortable with the results. He just didn't have it. I could see when he was out there early in the first half and then a little bit in the second half, just physically. And that happens, man. Like, he's played a lot more than most freshmen. This is the hardest he's ever been asked to play, the highest he's ever been asked to compete. And over time, sometimes you get some, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but you don't get the same impact every time. But Justin was ready. Jamiron was ready. We got a lot of minutes out of Q today, so that's why you have a good team and try to get as many guys ready as possible.